Today we're going to reflect on the Visākhā Sutta. This is found on page 106 of SD 48.4. The title means Discourse on Visākhā's Granddaughter. This is recorded in the Udana 8.8, chapter 8, Sutta 8. And the theme is Endearment Brings Sorrow. Now this is the first reflection, Sutta reflection we're having this new Chinese Lunar New Year, the year of the cockerel, or the chicken. So we are still in the midst of the celebration. This is still the first week, so long the Chinese celebrated for 2 weeks. So last week I went down with my family to our hometown in Malacca, Malaysia, and met our relatives and old friends and so on. And of course so many decades have passed, so when we go down to meet all these people, we have gone back very rarely, and this is after a few decades actually, especially with our children. One obvious fact, we see a lot of people have grown old. I have a school friend, a classmate who actually is 5 months older than me, and he's got all white hair. So, and then there are relatives I meet, and these relatives remind me of their own siblings who have passed away, for example, people who are dear to me. Like there is someone called Yao Guan, one of those cousins of mine, who passed away very young. He was a boxer, so we miss him. Then there are other, even young friends or teenagers who pass away in a cycling accident. So we recall, when we meet friends, we recall a lot of people we care for, people we have lost, people we'll never see again in this life. And that makes us value the living even more. Of course, there is always this connection, this love with people, and that causes the sadness, the pain. And this is what the sutta is about. The Visākhā Sutta teaches us a very basic true reality, and also how to respond to such difficulties in life. And in fact, this is one sutta we can see the Buddha acting as a counselor, as someone helping Visākhā to see things in perspective, especially the loss of a dear relative. So we'll go straight into the sutta, and then we'll look at some related teachings and verses. The translation is given on page 109. The Discourse on Visākhā's Granddaughter, U 8.8. Thus have I heard. At one time the Blessed One was staying in Megara's mother's mansion in eastern part outside Sāvatthī. At that time, the beloved and charming granddaughter of Visākhā, Megara's mother, passed away. So she's a very young person, a young woman, and she died well before her time. Then Visākhā, Megara's mother, with wet dress and wet hair, in the middle of the day, approached the Blessed One. Having gone up to him, saluted him, and sat down at one side. So here we have a bit of insight into the social history, the social conditions in the Buddha's time. This is how the ancient Indians mourn the passing of a loved one, with wet dress and wet hair. And so he goes to see the Buddha. Of course, when we feel very sad, we often look for a teacher, a dear friend, to be close to, so that we feel comforted and feel secure and safe and find some meaning in life. Now, the Buddha doesn't take things for granted. He asks Visākhā. In a sense, it's for our sake. he asks, "Where, Visākhā, have you come from in the middle of the day, coming here with wet clothes and wet hair?" Then she replies, "My beloved and charming granddaughter Bhante has passed away. That's why I'm here with wet clothes and wet hair in the middle of the day." Then the Buddha asks, "Would you, Visākhā, want as many children and grandchildren as there are people in Sāvatthī?" Okay, so this is where the teaching begins. The Buddha is trying to help Visākhā see the suffering in perspective. In other words, not to own the pain, not to see the pain merely from her personal perspective, just in a narrow personal way. And Visākhā is someone who loves children. She has lots of children. She's a very healthy mother and grandmother. So the Buddha asks her, "Would you like to have as many children as there are the population of this city of Sāvatthī?" Of course she replies, "Yes, blessed Bhante, I would want as many children and grandchildren as there are people in Sāvatthī." Then they agreed on one important point, and the Buddha uses that common ground of Dharma to continue the healing teaching. Section 7, "But," replies the Buddha, "Visākhā, how many people are there? How many people in Sāvatthī pass away each day?" 10 people, Bhante, pass away each day in Sāvatthī, replies Visākhā. 9 people, 8 people, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 person. Bhante passes away each day in Sāvatthī. This is the typical style of the oral tradition, where numbers are mentioned in this way to show intensity. In other words, many people die in a day, at least one, as many as 10, maybe more. So in other words here, there is a truth which Visākhā is aware of, and there is this other truth which is very painful to her, which she still is not able or not willing to accept. So now the Buddha brings her gently through this flow of reality, making her vision clearer. And then in section 10, the Buddha asks her again, "What do you think, Visākhā?" Notice very often in suttas, almost every sutta, in most suttas anyway, you see the Buddha at some point asking the audience, the listener, asking us, "What do you think?" In other words, it's not just believing. What have you experienced for yourself? Have you directed your mind in this way? Have you seen this truth? What do you think? It's a very important statement, a question the Buddha asks, to remind us that we need to experience reality for ourselves too. What do you think, Visākhā? Would there be any time when you would be without wet clothes or without wet hair? So there's a bit of humor to it. So the Buddha says, well, okay, if you have all these people, in the whole of Sāvatthī are your family, and you are the matriarch, you are the senior-most person, there'll be not a single day when you will not be having dry clothes and dry hair, because every day, as you said yourself, at least one person dies. Up to even 10 people or more may die. And all you need is just one person to die, and you'll be mourning, your clothes will be wet, and your hair will be wet. And of course, he has to agree here, because she's an intelligent person. Section 11, she replies, "Surely not, Bhante. Enough, Bhante, of my having to do with so many children and grandchildren." So she said, okay, yeah, I understand now. So she responds quickly to the teaching of the Buddha. So here we see the human aspect of Visākhā, which is quite normal for her to feel sadness, and we will feel sadness at the loss of loved ones. But we know very well, especially those whom we love, too, will have to leave us. And if those loved ones leave us, it's very painful. And if they leave us before their time, it's even more painful. But we have no control over these things. So what do we do about it then? Well, we must assume that this will happen to everyone that we love or do not love. So we should value those who are dear to us right now while they live. So when they pass on, we know we have been happy with them. So when we have this kind of attitude towards our loved ones, towards people we know, then the passing is something natural to us. Even in a sense, something joyful. We are sending this person away, in other words. And we will meet again in the future under happy circumstances too. So in that spirit, Visākhā says, enough of all this mourning and talking about sadness of someone dying. Then the Buddha repeats the teaching, the idea behind this experience of Visākhā. The Buddha continues and says, section 12, those Visākhā who have 100 of what is dear have 100 sorrows. Those who have 90 of what is dear have 90 sorrows. So this is a reflection meant to be heard. Those who have 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, even 1 of what is dear, or who is dear, have one sorrow. So many people that you love, there will be so many sorrow. Those who have none of what is dear have no sorrow. Sorrowless are they, dust-free, without any despair are they, I declare. But there's a problem here. Some people may say, does that mean we should not love anyone? Does this contradict the Buddha's teaching of loving kindness, for example? We'll come to that in a moment. Now we come to the closing verses. Then the Blessed One, understanding the significance on that occasion, uttered this udana, inspired utterance. Ye kechi soka parideva veditava dukkha chalokasming aneka rupa liyam paticca papavanti ete piye asante na bhavanti ete. Whatever grieving or lamentings or sorrows in countless ways in the world, they arise dependent on what is dear. When there is nothing dear, they exist not. Tasma hite sukhino vitasoka yesam piyam natti kuhinchi loke tasma asokan virajam patayano piyam nakiyarata kuhinchi loke ti. Therefore, happy, sorrow-free are they, those who have nothing dear in the world. Therefore, wishing for the sorrowless, thus free, one should not hold anything dear in the world. The most important phrase here is in the world. Now let's look at some of the Sutta ends here. Now let's look at some of the references, other related verses and teachings. Okay, now on page 107, section 4.2. Now, as long as we live a worldly life, we live in this world, we face 5 kinds of losses which we must be prepared for, we should accept as part of our living reality. The loss of relatives, ñāti vyasana. The loss of wealth, roga vyasana. The loss through illness, roga vyasana. The loss through moral conduct or moral laws, sila vyasana. The laws through wrong views or true views, ditthi vyasana. In other words, having wrong views can bring about destruction. So the Buddha continues and says, no beings after death, when the body is broken up, are reborn in a plane of misery, a bad destination, a lower realm in hell on account of the loss of relatives, the loss of wealth, or the loss of health. But beings do after death, when the body is broken up, are reborn in a plane of misery, and so on account of loss through moral conduct and through loss of true views. So there are 5 losses here. So the loss of physical things, that is relatives, wealth, or through illness, in the sense of the body, we do not go to suffering states. But the loss of moral virtue, of our goodness, and the loss of, in other words, holding wrong ideas, those are really bad. So here, in other words, our spirituality is more important. So even though we may lose relatives, we may suffer ill health, that does not bring us to any suffering state, because that deals with the body. It is when the loss is something mental, something spiritual, then that loss will bring us greater suffering. So obviously we have to guard our minds, in other words. Now then, there are other teachings here. For example, in the Pasenati Visākhā Sutta, Q 2.9, Visākhā was very upset because the king made a promise to her, but did not fulfill it. And you can't, just tell the king, hey, you forgot to do this. Kings often forget things they promise, and there's nothing others can do about it except maybe indirectly remind them. So here Visākhā goes to the Buddha, and the Buddha consoles her with his words. The Buddha says, all suffer under the power of another. All who are mighty feel comforted, but they are afflicted all the same, for bondages are hard to transcend. Okay, this is a verse. In simple terms, the Buddha is telling Visākhā, the king has his own problems too. I don't assume that the king is simply trying to disappoint you. Obviously there's something going on in the king's own life that he has forgotten such a promise. So we got to see, in other words, from the perspective of the other person too. Then in the next section, you notice there are 4 Dhammapada verses. They're all consecutive verses, Dhammapada, DH 212, 213, 214, 215. They all are related. They reflect the teachings given here in Visākhā Sutta. From endearment comes grief. From endearment comes fear. For one freed from endearment, there is no grief, much less fear. So if there is a lot of fear, that is always connected with some kind of grasping, something we hold dear, our loved ones, our children, our property. From love comes grief, from love comes fear. For one freed from love, there is no grief, much less fear. From sensual pleasure comes grief. From sensual pleasure comes fear. From one freed from sensual pleasure, there is no grief, much less fear. So notice here, first is endearment, and the word is piya. Then love is pema, worldly love. Well, piya is a kind of something pleasant that we like. Pema is love in the general sense of the word. And then comes sensual pleasure, that's kama, it's a bit stronger, with some attachment. And then from lust comes grief, from lust comes fear. For one, freed from lust, there is no grief, much less fear. Lust is even the strongest emotion of all, very physical. So here we see this idea of being attached to people. So how should we conduct ourselves in the spirit of this kind of teaching? Loving kindness means, metta means accepting others as we would accept ourselves. That is sometimes called universal love, boundless love. In other words, we do not look at someone and only like a certain aspect of that person, like the person's physical beauty or the person's power, and so on. We often love people or respect people in that way. There's something we see advantageous for us in others. Or maybe we feel a sense of biological connection, and this is very strong. We feel, oh, this person is my child, my spouse, my relative, and so on. And often the bond can be quite strong, and when the bond is strong and it's cut off, then we feel the impact of it. So in other words, while the family is an important unit as we grow up as a human, it is also important to understand in Buddhist teachings there is this idea of a bigger family. When we are truly spiritual, we do not limit our goodness merely to our biological family. We are able to accept others also as a kind of extended family. Now, in this sense, we see renunciation, we see people living the house life to become monks. They are not really living their family. Physically, they are away from the family, yes, but they are joining a bigger family, the spiritual family called a Sangha. In other words, by joining the monastic Sangha, by becoming a monk or a nun, a renunciant, they have joined a bigger family so that in that new role, they are approachable by anyone who can come to them. If they're a young person, they can come to see him for counsel as a son, as a daughter. If they are old, very old, they can come to see this renunciant as the mother or father. And if they are around the same age, they come and see this renunciant as a brother or sister. So in other words, you see a bigger, more universal family. This is the true spirit of renunciation. So there's this idea of a kind of global family, if you like. This is, of course, not easy to practice, but the ideal is a beautiful one. And anywhere you see where humans want to live happily, they want to be more united, more progressive, there is this idea of community. So in other words, from family, you have a bigger family called community. So in fact, you can see this sort of feeling during special celebrations. For example, like Chinese New Year, you see we welcome anyone. The house is open. When anyone comes, even strangers, we treat them as family. We feed them, we let them join us at our table to have meals, and so on. So it's kind of universality. So when we treat everyone in this way, then we begin to feel a connection with everyone. And we know that if anyone should die or should pass away, we know that's the natural course of things. So we wouldn't get upset, not because there are many others left behind, but because we know that's the nature of things. And we know we've treated each other well. And there's nothing we can do to prevent this. We can prolong life for a while, yes, but we cannot forever prevent it. Our time too will come. So in other words, why not be realistic about it? Live life fully, you're happy, and when we are very old, we lose many of our faculties. We can't do a lot of things. So it's time for us to get out of this weak physical structure called our body and to find a new, healthy and wholesome body in a new life. This is the Buddhist understanding of our life, where there's nothing to sorrow about, Life is to be celebrated. Death, birth is welcoming someone into this life. Death is saying goodbye to it. Well, a better word would be saying farewell to this person. May you farewell on to a new life. We will meet again. So in this sense, there's nothing to sorrow. So all these teachings is meant to be understood in this kind of light. And then there is this last verse, which is more of a social statement, where attachment can also lead to strife. Right? So this is from the Sutta Nipata. From endearment comes quarrels, disputes, lamentations, grief along with avarice, and conceit and arrogance along with slander. Quarrels and disputes are linked to avarice. Avarice is a strong sense of greed. And slanders too arise from disputes. So one thing leads to another. So when we are biased to someone, we like someone too much, then we try to defend this person, and it leads on to other various kinds of suffering otherwise. So the idea is to be open, is to be able to clearly see what's going on, and to be wise enough to set things right, to make everybody as happy as possible. Otherwise. So it's not just about death, it's about how death and impermanence make life more precious to us, so that we should value this present moment very much more than ever before. So do read through this teaching again to remind ourselves of this wonderful reminder of the value of life, and to celebrate it in a Dharma way. So now let us close with a short reflection. The Dharma teaches us that life is precious. That is why the first sutta is killing. And this life is precious because it is our only vehicle towards awakening. So we should treasure this life, live this life mindfully, so that wisdom comes to us, and this wisdom will guide us to awakening, so that we rise beyond this body to the true happiness of nirvana. Reflecting in this way is good karma. By the power of such good karma, may we be blessed with wisdom and courage to aspire to attain at least stream winning in this life itself. By the same token, by all the good deeds we have done, by the power of the three jewels, let us send out our loving kindness to all our loved ones, especially those who have been kind and helpful to us, and also to all our loved ones, to all practitioners of the Dharma, that they may be well and happy and attain awakening in this life itself. Let us also send out our loving kindness to all others who are practicing the Dharma, seeking the truth. May they see the truth in this life itself. And those who have difficulties or struggling to see the truth for themselves, may they too find true happiness in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.